What's good, everybody? Welcome to the whole stream. What's good, everybody? Welcome to Whole Views. This is the live stream for Thursday, September 29th. We're doing another live of the whole week. There's been a lot of news this week. You know, I took a few weeks off because there was a few topics that I was like, things came up and I just didn't feel like talking about them. One of the things that happened was like Dan Lin denied the whole WB thing, and like he didn't take the offer that they made him. I could have did a video about that. I could have jumped on a live about that. There were a lot of other big pieces of news that came out. There's been the whole fiasco dealing with the movie Don't Worry Darling, which I actually saw a trailer for and I was excited about when I saw that trailer, and never did watch the movie. Still have time though, and never did get on a video and talk about it or do a live and talk about it. I feel like that stuff is a bit too personal, and there's no reason for me to be talking about people's personal business here on the channel. I try to keep it all TV shows, movies, and like entertainment, you know what I'm saying? Not really belittling or berating or talking about anybody's personal life, because that seems like a bloody mess over there and I didn't want to touch it. But there has been some developments this week that I wanted to go over. So let's go ahead and jump into the topics. First being the big topic of Deadpool, everybody. So Deadpool 3 was announced. This is not an official picture that I chose to put up. It's just one that I felt was a good little mock-up to use for the thumbnail, and I figured, hey, why not use it in the actual video? So my thought about this is not just the fact that Deadpool is going to be in the MCU finally. It's not the fact that Hugh Jackman is coming back to play Wolverine. The point that I wanted to make when talking about this particular piece of news was that the marketing of Ryan Reynolds is amazing. He's taken this grassroots approach with his Mint Mobile company. He's also done it with his gym, and I didn't catch it when I was listening to the announcement, but my producer best friend caught it, and he was like, yeah, he's promoting his gym in this little segment here. So it's like he promotes everything, and it's done so well. I'm at the point where I don't feel like they need to have any trailers for this movie. Now, I know they will, because you know, Marvel does the traditional movie marketing. We could see the push ramping up with Black Panther coming out in November. Like, I'm thinking they're gonna release another trailer. They're talking about it at different news outlets. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on as far as the promotion of movies. But I feel like Deadpool 3, all you gotta do is have another one of these little spots with Ryan Reynolds in the suit, or maybe Hugh Jackman in the suit, and just let them do their thing, because they've already done 2 videos thus far. I think it's 2. And they are the most watched, most recycled, most talked about pieces of news and pieces of entertainment this week. There's nothing else that's been bigger than the Deadpool 3 announcement and the fact that Hugh Jackman is coming back. Now, if I was to like speculate, yes, Hugh Jackman being involved and coming back as Logan, huge stuff. But they already gave us little hints as to how they're gonna address that stuff and how they're gonna bring it in and show like, hey, you know, Logan happened in 2029. This is not going to be taking place in 2029, blah, blah, blah. And then they went off into a little tangent. They got people overanalyzing that video. They're doing lip reading. I think some guys are going to like take the audio and try to mess with the audio and try to see if they could get what they were saying underneath there. But all that stuff is cool. All that stuff is nice. But just knowing that that announcement came the way it did and it took the internet by storm, and knowing that it's 2 years out, I want to say it's 2024, and there's a lot to look forward to with the project, and they don't even have to promote it. They just have to let Ryan Reynolds go back out there and talk just a little bit more. So yeah, I think it's great marketing. I'm excited to see the film. I must say that Deadpool is not my favorite, but to see this little marriage finally come to fruition on screen with Ryan Reynolds' obsession with Hugh Jackman and their friendship and all that stuff, I would love to see it come to screen. And also, it brings just a bunch of questions with Logan or Hugh Jackman's Wolverine being present and him being who he already is. That just brings a whole lot of questions, and I'm not gonna speculate on none of that. I just think that it was a great announcement, huge deal, and worth talking about from the marketing perspective, because man, you don't need a trailer. All you gotta do is let him go out there and talk and hype it up, and people gonna clamor to go see it. So that's where I'm at with Deadpool, right? So moving things right along, I want to talk about another piece of comic book news before getting into some other movie stuff. I want to talk about Blade. So I like talking Blade because Blade is one of the African American characters, or traditionally played and displayed as African American. And there's a lot coming out about him right now. So Jeff Snyder, who was with Collider, he posted a tweet saying that Mahershala Ali, who's playing the new Blade, he's disgruntled. The script is only like 90 pages long. They only have like 2 very weak action scenes, and he's frustrated at the process that they're going through. It's September 29th, and they're supposed to be shooting this movie in November, this coming November, and Kevin Feige's attention can't be given to this film, and he is too spread too thin is the words that they were using. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's all true. But then I looked into it a little bit on my own to see if any trades were reporting it besides Jeff Snyder. Jeff Snyder is a credible source. I don't want to make it seem like he's not credible. But I wanted to see if other people were picking it up as well. And nobody was at the time. But what people are reporting on is the fact that they lost their director. Their director is no longer a part of the project, so that kind of spun into the Mahershala Ali stuff. And Jeff Snyder did break it first, because now, you know, a day later after I saw that tweet, now I'm seeing a bunch of other trades doing little articles and breakdowns on it. And I have something linked in the description, but it's probably more directed or related to the fact that the director is gone. Regardless though, I hope they get this right. It's only going into production this November, which means you're still at least a year out before we see any kind of footage, before we get release dates and all that stuff. I really hope that they give this thing the attention it deserves, because Blade, Wesley Snipes elevated that character so much to the fact that Mahershala Ali has to do, in his movies, his franchise, his leg of that character has to do so much and has to do so well that, man, it needs the attention. It needs the attention of Kevin Feige. It needs the full effort of Marvel Studios, because I just don't see them being able to put out a subpar product with that character. There's a high standard. It's kind of like the Spider-Man franchise, as far as, not really, because, you know, Spider-Man's been carried by a bunch of different people over time, but if you're gonna go from Wesley Snipes, and which was an iconic trilogy of Blade, truly, if people don't know, Blade is the trilogy of movies that kept Marvel afloat as a company, and we wouldn't have anything today if it wasn't for the success of those late 90s Blades movies. Like, man, I really hope that they give this thing all the love and care and attention that it deserves, because it has a high bar that's already been set by Wesley, and Mahershala Ali is a great actor, nominated for several different awards. It's like, it would be such a horrible situation, such a sad thing for me as a fan to see the Mahershala Ali character or actor play the Blade character and have it not be good. 2 action scenes and 90 pages of script is just, I hope that's all rumors and not necessarily true. But, you know, who knows? I think if you're really current on the MCU, you know that the Blade character was linked to the end of Eternals and that post-credit scene, but it's still so far out before we see anything. I really hope that they can get it together. I just thought that becoming a thing that's worthy to be discussed and worthy to be talked about here on the channel. Talking about some other things though, sticking with the topic of African Americans, Afrocentricity, if that's a word I want to use. I want to kind of shift it away from the comic book stuff, but still staying in the genre of kind of like science fiction. And my boy, Caleb McLaughlin here, I saw the article from, let me not lie, I have it here. I saw the article first from the Hollywood Reporter, and I didn't get the name of the actual writer of the little interview. It's just a little snippet that they got from him talking about his early experiences being a part of the Stranger Things show and him experiencing racism. And I was like, one, you can't see my hand behind the picture, but one, why is that coming up now? Like, why? I don't see the reason for that being a thing right now. 2, like, is anybody surprised by that? I don't think people should be surprised by the fact that he experienced racism being a part of that show. Like, the first 2 seasons, there were not many faces of color or faces of anything different. It was very, very middle of the road as far as casting goes. There was no LGBTQ characters. There were not many female characters outside of Joyce in season 1. Like diversity just was not present because it was the first season of the show. They had to gain the audience first and then kind of branch out. And now you got LGBT, you got more than one character of color. Actually, I want to say in season 4 there was at least like 4 speaking roles for characters of color that we know. And I imagine that's going to continue to diversify as they go deeper into the 80s. I don't know. I think there's a time jump in season 5, the final season, where they're going to be in the 90s, and these young actors are going to be able to play roles that are closer to their age. So it's like, I can't imagine the Lucas character, Caleb McLaughlin, playing a 19, 20-year-old version of himself and not having like an ethnicity around him. I talked about this on a video that I posted talking about my expectations and my hopes for season 5 of Stranger Things. And my thought was just really hope that they lean into the hip hop 90s, F the Police, NWA stuff, even though he's from Indiana. That stuff captivated the world in the early 90s. So if they're gonna do that time jump and he's gonna be that age, I really hope that he leans into that part of being African American in that show, in a place where it's never really been prominent before. I would really like to see that. And you might get some backlash because of that, because like I said, it's to be expected. This is a majority white show. And it was really, really majority white when it first started. So I don't see that being a huge issue. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I just feel like it's expected. It's to be expected. Maybe that's sad, but I expected it. I didn't think that's a surprising thing. It didn't shock me at all to hear that Caleb McLaughlin experienced a bit of racism when he first started out on the show. But those are my thoughts there. Let me know does that surprise you that he experienced racism? Because I don't think it should. I think, knowing America to be what America is to be expected. Sorry, but that's how I feel. Let me know how you feel in the comment section. And then moving right along to the last point that I want to talk about here on the live is HBO Max. Now, HBO Max, in my opinion, okay, I've done several different videos over the years talking about streaming services. I think the first one was that Netflix was still king of the hill. Now, this is 2 years ago, mind you. But Netflix was king of the hill a few years ago. Then I did another video talking about how Disney Plus is overrated. At that time, definitely was. And I said one more video, I believe, in that series of like reviewing products. I thought that HBO Max was probably the next best competition to Netflix. And what I'll say is all that's wrong now. Disney Plus is very valuable, rated just right. HBO Max still is probably the #1 competition to Netflix, and Netflix is seemingly on its last leg because they're doing all kind of different things financially to stay afloat, trying to introduce commercials, trying to introduce different pay tiers, just anything to keep the doors open and keep being able to pay people, right? So it comes out, and I have a link in the description, about HBO Max cooking the books and reporting inflated numbers to Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, in this deal that they've done with David Zaslav and Discover, who bought Warner, and it's all kind of confusion going on. They're trying to pick a guy to be the Kevin Feige over at DC, and then they're taking away certain properties from HBO Max and like making them like theatrical or shutting them down all the way. And it's like, hey man, there's so much going on with them. I feel like everything involved with WB, and that would be HBO Max, that would be DC Films, all those guys are a mess. It's an absolute mess, in my opinion. I just don't see these guys operating well, and I don't see that situation ending well. I've already heard rumors on the internet through Twitter and just reading different articles that this Discovery purchase of Warner Brothers may not even last long before somebody else is trying to take it and merge it with like Universal or something like that. And man, it's amazing that a company like Disney that can own ESPN, own Hulu, own Marvel, own the rights to Star Wars, and just have all these different properties that they have and just make it work together well. Whereas on the opposite side of things, you have, I guess Warner is the parent company, but You got Warner, you got, I think, Legendary, who they deal with. You got DC. I don't know if New Line Cinema is affiliated with them. You got HBO and HBO Max and all those things. And it's like, yo, just Paramount Plus, I believe, is under the Warner label, possibly. I could be wrong about that. But it's like there's so much potential with all those properties over there at Warner, and it's just they never get managed right. And it's a constant thing. Like they keep looking for people to be the person, and they never get it right. And I don't feel like there's going to be a time where they really get it right. I don't think this name that's been floating around Hollywood and around the movie punditry circles, they talk about David Zaslav a lot. He's the guy over there at DC and Warner, and he's the head guy. So if they put a person in place at DC, like they were about to put Dan Lin, he would report directly to David Zaslav, like Kevin Feige reports directly to whoever is at the top of Disney. For a long time, we heard the name Bob Iger. We heard names like Ike Perlmutter being thrown around. And it's like, these boys over there at Warner and DC and HBO Max, like, they haven't found the people to put at the top. And it just, every bit of news I feel like I hear about them is so showing of incompetence. Like it highlights their incompetence and their ability or lack of ability to do the right thing with all the potential properties they have. You got Game of Thrones, you got all the stuff that's in DC, you got Westworld. HBO Max as a platform is just such a good streaming service. It brings a lot of value. You got all the Mortal Kombat properties. You got a lot of properties, a lot of original content produced by HBO. HBO makes some great shows over the years: Sopranos, Entourage, Sex and the City. There's just so many different things that they've done that are great. And it's like, you can't take all that and just make something work. It must be hard. It must be hard. I'm just a dude sitting in this garage, talking movies and TV. And to me, it seems like it would be easy if you give me all that potential to kind of just make everything work together seamlessly. But you hear financial issues, you hear about the difficulties hiring the people to be in charge, and it's like, man, I really want the best for y'all, but I just don't see y'all being able to put it together. That's the question. Do you feel like HBO Max and Warner and all of those DC and all that's under the Warner label with this Discovery purchase, do you feel like they ever gonna put it together? And if so, when? Because I don't feel like they will, man. Reports were coming out, I didn't talk about it, but reports were coming out that only movies that Warner had enough money to put out this year was Don't Worry, Darling and Black Adam. So they had to move like Aquaman, Shazam, and all that stuff. It's like, oh man, I really, really wish that y'all would be able to get it together. That's the ultimate thought. But let me know your thoughts on those thoughts. And in relation to the other stories, let me know what you think about some of the other stories too. Do you feel like that's great marketing on the behalf of Deadpool? Because I think that is great marketing. Do you feel like Blade is gonna actually come together well, or are people getting nervous about nothing? That's kind of the thoughts that I hope they get nervous about nothing when it comes to the Blade story. Are you surprised about Caleb McLaughlin? And do you think HBO Max and DC and Warner are gonna ever put it all together? Those are the thoughts. In relation to the video, the live, I can't get rid of HBO Max. He doesn't want to go away. Go away, brother. Okay, there we go. He's gone now. And I'm about to be gone, y'all. That's it for the live, man. We did like 18 minutes, 20 minutes. That's cool. That's cool. And I'm out of here, man. I'm going to go. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Go watch something good.